of Supervisor's top priorities is ensuring that you all live a high quality of life, which is why she has made it a priority for our office to work on this public safety issue on Clayton Road. For decades, you have raised concerns about the hazard of these landslides on East Dunn Avenue and Clayton Road. And I was joking with someone earlier, probably been around since before I was born. Which is why Supervisor Arenas wanted to make sure that this case was assigned to the amazing Rebecca Hall from our team, who you all have been working with for the past couple of years. And additionally, while the topic of today's community meeting is on road safety, we also acknowledge public safety and fire safety are among some of your top concerns, which is why Supervisor Arenas has invited the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department to attend later this evening, which they can attend. Supervisor Arenas has started asking questions about Clayton Road as soon as she started her term county supervisor in 2023. As a result of the winter storms, our dedicated roads and Air Force Department have reassured Supervisor Arenas in our office that Clayton Road would be one of their highest priorities for repair. And they followed through on that promise as they immediately hired geotechnical engineers to come assess it. They have also applied for FEMA funds for Clayton Road, which, as you already know, of course. Lastly, Supervisor Arenas has also publicly asked the Roads Department during a Board of Supervisors meeting to outline options for a more permanent solution to this ongoing issue. Today marks a really important step forward to ensuring that there is a permanent solution here. While we wish it could be done overnight, we have seen time and time again that our office is committed to this and will see it through. Supervisor wanted to give a special shout out to the Roads Department for continuing to prioritize this, but most importantly, she wanted to thank you, all the neighbors that are here tonight, and the Lake Anderson Ranches Association for your advocacy and for bringing this critical issue to our attention. Christian and I will be carefully writing notes. Everything that you're going to be raising tonight is going straight to the supervisor. So thank you so much again, and we're looking forward to hearing from you all.
Real brief, because I think you guys got a handout that is much more thorough than I was going to go over anyways. We're going to talk about a little bit just about the general storm damage of 2022-2023 around the county. I'll talk about the current road conditions, which I know you guys are aware of it, but what those current road conditions are and what we've been doing and continue to do. And then the proposed solutions and timeline for repairs. Okay. And as you guys are well aware of Clayton Road as it relates to access into San Jose, right, either through Mount Hamilton Road or down in East or out here. The storm damage of 2022-2023, there's actually two storms that qualified as federal emergency events, one right around the new year and another in the March timeframe. The county had about a little over 30 sites around the county that had failures of some sort, culverts washing out, road slippage, all of these impacted roads. To date, the county's got about a third of those fixed entirely. We have a few of them, maybe 5 or 6 of them that are partially repaired to a state of at least one lane in each direction with stop control similar to Clayton Road. We've been working with both FEMA and FHWA to fund and fix these projects. They do take a long time. Those are long government processes, especially when the fix is something more than just put it back the way it was. And Clayton Road, as you are all well aware with the history of Clayton Road, we cannot just put it back the way it was. So after winter storms in 2023, as you can see, the road slipped about 3 to 4 feet is what it just broke off on what we call the slip plane. And so we'll have some of these slides are on the tables out, or on the boards out on the side. So when you see the word slip plane, that's where literally the land is slipping along a specific plane where the geology changes underground. In this condition, in this situation on Clayton Road, that's a pretty deep-seated, what we call a deep-seated slide. It's about 25 to 30 feet deep is where that geological change occurs. And in order to ultimately fix it, if you want to go to the next slide, Paul. In the, I think, fall 23 or spring of 24, we came in with a project to at least get the road temporarily open. And so some of the commitment we made was to make sure that the slope was winterized. So one of the challenges on all these landslide locations is that the soil gets really wet, really heavy, and then just continues to pull itself down that plane. So what we did is, we regraded it, got the road reopened to one lane, and then did some winterization to try to keep water off that slope and keep the road from moving anymore. And what we've been doing really ever since these temporary measures went in is regular inspections by our engineering staff and regular cleanup work from our maintenance staff to make sure that the road stays open and it doesn't get worse. It's definitely not a situation we want to stay in for a long time, because that's a very time and costly proposition to keep maintaining and working on a road like this. Okay, Paul? So the permanent solution, this is what engineers that we brought on board to the project have been working on. So in order to ultimately fix the slide, we need to get material down that 25 feet to reach what we call the slip plane and reach more stable soil that we can hold the road back up in place. We would achieve this with what's called a soldier pile wall and anchors that transverse through that slip plane. This solution is probably around a $6 to $7 million solution for this little stretch of Clayton Road very slow. So it's a huge cost for the county roads department. That's why over the years we've been trying to get support from FEMA to repair this road, and we're still working on this design. We're going to see this design through its completion as we continue to look for funding to get that permanent repair done. But as soon as we got that letter from FEMA this time that said that we're not going to be getting funding, we paused and we pivoted and challenged our consulting team to start looking at some alternative solutions to get this road reopened. Something more than what's been done in the past, which is just regrade it, pave it. It's the best, because as we've seen time and time again, since at least from our records back into the 90s, that lasts for about 5 years, and then another big storm comes through and washes it out, and we're just back here having the same conversation again. So we've got a slide that we looked at a lot of different alternatives. We looked at micropiles, smaller piles that try to stabilize your plate piles, and smaller retaining structures that can help retain that earth. A number of things. Unfortunately, due to the 25-foot depth of the slip plane, a lot of these, they don't work as permanent solutions. What we do need to do is make sure that, one, in any kind of interim solution, we keep water off that slope, or we get it off the slope as quick as possible, that it doesn't seep in, make that slope really heavy and pull it away. And we also want to come back in with a more reinforced roadway. So the plan right now is to rebuild the roadway with what is called a geogrid system. So it entails multiple layers of base rock and reinforcing grid to provide a more stable structure of the roadway itself. And then on that slope, so a mix of hydroseed to help stabilize it, and then also a drainage system to get that water off the slope. What I think we realized over the last 2 winters since we've had it temporarily fixed is that the tarping and that regular maintenance that we've been doing has really, we've been pretty worried these last 2 winters that we were going to see a lot more movement. We've had not the same intensity of storms like the winter of 23, but we've had some atmosphere that had road staff fairly nervous on how our roads were going to hold up. And this site has done, I think, pretty well, all things considered, with some of those temporary measures that we put in place to help it withstand winters. So we have the temporary or interim solution while we continue to work on the permanent solution. Our goal with this interim solution is to start work in the summer of 26. Work on the design over the winter and spring. We have a contractor in the county that we can use. It's actually the same contractor that came out and did the interim measures. We're going to bring them back for the temporary regrading. We're going to bring them back out to take care of these interim measures. And we feel that it's probably about a 30-ish day work effort that we're targeting to start in June if possible. That would be our target window to start work. And over the spring, we'll stay in communication with this group as we work with our contractor to understand what some of those construction timeframes look like. We'll get them more dialed in. We'll also be able to communicate with you and with other emergency services what any closures look like in order to get this work done. And as you can imagine, looking at the screen here, we're going to totally rebuild this section of Clayton Road. It's about 200 feet long of road that's failed. And to come in and do this level of repair, probably will require some full closure for some period of time. We'll start to identify that in the spring, and we'll get that communicated out to the community as soon as we can. This slide is just some of the other alternatives. When we posed that challenge to the consultant team, we'll start looking at other solutions, what we can do. When we got that memo from FEMA denying our funds, we started looking at things like a soil nail wall. We've had success with that on some other projects. The plate files, micro files, those are solutions that, again, they don't go down deep enough to solve the problem. And soil cells are an embankment type of solution to help stabilize the slope itself. One of the things that came out of our alternatives analysis was, in addition to the portion of Clayton Road that completely failed, we're also aware that there's a lot of other portions of Clayton that have issues. Like that's not lost on us at all. And so while some of those alternatives didn't work or don't work for the main slide area, they may be helpful and possible solutions for some of the other spots that are regularly having to be patched and fixed by our maintenance staff. So this is a spot on Clayton that pretty much every year our maintenance staff comes in and adds another layer of pavement, and that just makes it heavier and it pushes it down, and we come back in the next year and do it again, and next year and do it again. And that's not really a sustainable solution there. So we're going to look and see if there are some of these options with these alternatives that we looked that can be applied to some of the other locations on Clayton as well, where we know we have issues. And then finally, it was but Clayton Road, as part of just the county's regular maintenance, we have a 7-year paving program on our roads. So this would be scheduled to get a chip seal. So that's the treatment that we do on more rural county roads in the summer of 2027. Our goal is to get obviously all the temporary work done in advance of that, and then come through it. And then lastly, Harry touched on this early in the discussion, but we plug this in every public meeting that we come to. The county has a tool to report issues on county roads to county road staff. Our staff are super responsive when we get these issues reported into us. We physically cannot keep eyes on every road in the county with county staff. The maintenance workers that come out and do things, they come out for a specific reason. They don't always notice everything that you guys notice. Anything that you guys see that looks out of place, we highly encourage you to report those in. You can do so straight on the county roads website, or there's also a mobile application that you can download for your smartphone. You can take a picture of it and send it in. If you take a picture on your smartphone, it will geolocate it. So when you submit it, even if you can't quite figure out what the address is, give it your best shot. We can take data from the photo itself and find information. We've got some flyers for you. This is really helpful for us. Obviously, anytime we can address an issue when it's small, that's a heck of a lot easier to deal with than when it grows into something that becomes unmanageable. So that's the end of the presentation. We've got, happy to take questions from the group here. We've also got a lot of other county staff, so if you want some more one-on-one discussion, I think we're going to set ourselves up at some of the boards that we can come talk to county staff, talk to our consultants, talk to me, talk to Harry, talk to anyone you want to. We're here to answer your questions. Yeah, we're handing out the flyer right now on how to get that mobile application tool for reporting news.
I had a question. if we see things that need repair on that stretch and other places, we should just call the number. So are you guys gonna be, otherwise you're not gonna be watching the road, right? I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I don't want to say that we're not, we're watching, obviously, this spot very closely that
Right.
was damaged. So the question was, if I download the app or if I call in, does that mean that we won't be, because we're not watching? It's not that we're not watching and looking for things, and at this particular location, we definitely are. But we also recognize new stuff pops up every now and then, and sometimes when our staff are out there, it's hard to tell what's changed sometimes. And you guys drive these roads every day, and you definitely notice when something is different that our side might be missing.
Running out. I'm gonna go get some more.
Chris, I have 3 questions for you. One is this word permanent. And so you presented a nice permanent solution. I would like my grandkids to see a permanent solution. I would like my kids to see a permanent solution. I get this is a money issue, so you have a nice interim solution. The county has put in 4 interim solutions and spent a lot of money. Harry, you have a big budget in your department. It's not big enough to do $7 million fixes like this across the county all the time. So what is the commitment from the county? And maybe it's outside the roads department. Maybe that's for our representative from our district person. What is the commitment to the work permit? I don't know what that means. I think everybody here would like to understand what that means. This is fantastic. We love that. Thanks for that. But we lived through all 4 years of this stuff. So that's my first question. The second question is, what about a bridge? Neighbors here have installed bridges over failed areas, and they work. You just let the land keep doing what it's doing for the next 2,000 years and have the bridge there. And this seems low cost. And there's examples of these around the world that run for 300 feet, and they're 30 feet wide. So what about that as an idea? And then on this, the last point that you were going through on this reporting thing, I think there's an exception on water cleanouts and things, and water coming down from Mount Hamilton and water going down there. The neighbors can't figure out when that's going on in the middle of a storm. You guys can figure it out, it goes on. And then it's very difficult to figure out, to see that. The vandalism you know about, so on your property, it's right in front of you. But when there's a rivulet of water coming down in a location where neighbors aren't looking, it's in their own backyard, and it's causing erosion on that large stretch of land, that's a problem. So can the county be more proactive on somehow helping us monitor the water? We'll report it when we see it, but a lot of times we don't see it. So I answer those 3 questions.
What was the first question?
Yeah, first one was a commitment to funding the permanent solution.
What's the what does permanent mean to you? Is it us, it's got to be funded and real.
I would just say this, when you get outside of the flatlands in the county, and the flatlands have their own challenges. Many parts of the hills in the county are unstable. This area of Clayton Road has some instability. There are worse areas in the county where there are multiple landslides and deeper landslides. Civil engineering is the practice. We are civil engineers. It's the practice of applying economical solutions to engineering problems. That doesn't mean cheap. It means that the fix somehow matches the problems. Now, I'm not making any judgment about any of these things. I'm just saying that's our job. Digging a hole 25 feet deep is not feasible at this location. So the only way to actually stop Mother Nature from making the landslide down the hill would be to dig the whole hill out. And that's too much material. It would need to be hauled away because there'd be no place to store it. And that's not the solution that we can do. So our solutions are limited to brute force, strength, trying to make something stronger than the force of nature. Chris described this geogrid solution, and our consultant described it as an interim solution. I don't believe that the permanent solution up here would have a lifespan longer, maybe 100 years. reasonable. That's a very long time.
That's a long time.
But this slide, I don't know if it was activated 42 years ago. Certainly you do. I don't know how long this slide's been moving. But there's really no way for us to physically stop this slide. It's Mother Nature putting it down the hill. So how strong, how strengthy of a solution can we put towards it? We do not currently have $7 million or so. I think that the current construction estimate for the wall is $6 million, and it would probably cost about $2 million to deliver the project, and that means engineering, inspection, QA, QC, bid, award, construction administration. You can count on maybe a 20-30% delivery charge. Let's say you had a 20-30% delivery charge. It's about an $8 million project. We don't have the funding for that right now. We can't let you wait any longer. So we have to, I think we have to do this.
Let me interrupt there for a second. So I appreciate that. But you started this whole thing with the word permanent. It's on your county site permanent, whatever that means, permanent. And so I think it's misleading to say the word permanent and say, here's something that's permanent. This could be a permanent thing, but we don't have money for it. It's a good engineering thing to go do. And maybe it's a longer-term budget issue. You guys have been working, the amount of money you spent fixing this thing is huge. All your predecessors were. You know, they've been out here, they've been fixing it, doing things. And is there a view, and maybe it's at the supervisor level, that there's a longer-term view of budgets? It's not just annual. I got your budget pressure stuff. I totally understand that. Is there a longer-term view of budgets, and we can get a longer-term commitment? Do this short-term thing, fantastic, do that thing, and get a longer-term thing put in place. Or stop talking about it.
Yeah, I don't want to, I always get frustrated by it when I go to a public meeting and the public official is crying poor. We're using state gas tax that everybody in this room who drives a vehicle that uses gasoline or diesel contributes to. We're funded by tax dollars. We have 672 miles of roads. And we have problems in other parts of, and we're not prioritizing some over the others. One of the goals with the investigation, doing the geotechnical work and then the alternatives analysis with our consultant, is to get enough information to really have a fair discussion with the community. If we have the word permanent on our website, I don't think that's the right word.
It's
And I
your
apologize.
website.
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now.
You have 2 line items on your own county website. It says fix Clayton Road, and then it says Clayton Road permanent solution. Right?
I 100%, I don't doubt that it says that.
Okay. I don't want to fight with you. So
No, I don't doubt that it
your
says
viewpoint.
that.
I would like the county supervisor to take an action on longer-term view of the budget. Harry, I think that'll help you with your
Yeah.
Because if you have a longer-term view. Let's move on to the second topic of why don't you put a bridge there? We all think it's cheaper to put a bridge in.
Yeah.
Why isn't that a solution?
Let me expound on
Yeah.
that. Where I live, we had a long driveway that had, and I have pictures of the slide exactly the same as what you're showing up there. Went on for years, we kept filming it, could not fix it. Finally decided to bridge over it. The county permits made us put piers in like it was for a freeway. Anyhow, we followed those permits. We put in piers 75 feet deep into the bedrock. In the center, 75 feet, and the outer ones, 45 feet. It's about 120 feet long. And we put in 2 railroad flat cars, which is very commonly done all over Santa Cruz Mountains, to create the bridge. You can do that with 2 wires. We did it for probably $600,000. And that included our geotech stuff, which you guys have paid for a couple of times for that area. It would welcome you to come take a look at that. And it's a hell of a lot cheaper than what you're talking about. And it's amazing what it is built like. It's actually permanent.
What he's talking about is a very economical solution, a very practical solution. And you're an engineer, correct? So railroad cars aren't that expensive. And I know it's not cheap, but you certainly can put buttons. And you certainly can put centerpieces in, and you certainly can go down. So addressing his concept of a bridge, which I know is very expensive, that's all my business.
No, we'll come out and take a look at it. We evaluated some flat car solutions as interim solutions when the storms first hit, but we didn't end up installing any of them. I'll just say that, but we did evaluate them. I believe Paul, that was the suggestion got made. I'm not enough of an expert on bridges to really tell you why or why. I don't really have enough to intelligently talk about bridges. The only bridges that I'm familiar with on public roads are built to a standard that exceeds those flat cars. I don't know to what extent, but they are built to exceed those standards. And I don't believe that we could build a 200-foot long bridge under those. Let me just say, I don't believe we can build a 200-foot long bridge for less than $7 million. Not sure.
Our bridges have been running a lot more than that.
The last bridge we built last year in Uvis Canyon, we built it last year, was $7 million. We awarded that as a low bid contract to Brandon Construction. It wasn't 200 feet long, but it was built to FHWA standards. Because the only bridges that we build right now are replacement bridges. The department is only point. I think what we're recommending is this solution.
Which solution is it, this one or this one? I'm confused.
We're recommending this solution.
It's both. It's
I
both.
hope it's not this one, because I don't really see no.
I don't think it's fair to, I think we've done some engineering. So our consulting engineer is here from Kimley Horn. We've done some geotechnical work. So I wouldn't say that I would never say that I don't put merit into a flat car bridge. And I think the goal is to get the road stabilized at this point because it essentially has stopped moving. I don't want you to also think, and I'm not giving you this for any type of purpose other than just its facts. We've got, this isn't the only road that is in this condition in the county right now. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we have multiple locations in the Santa Cruz Mountains that we're also undergoing deep geotechnical investigation, alternatives analysis. There are some slides, deeper slides, that we're juggling.
Since the 80s?
No, yeah, some of them, some are 1,000-year-old slides. The ones on Dunn Avenue have probably been moving. This road was, I think our consultant was telling, this road was a wagon trail. This road wasn't selected by somebody going in and saying, I've checked the soil, there's no soil, this is a stable place, the road was built with mud. This road was cut probably by for extraction. People were cutting down timber, and they cut this road as a shortcut up the hill, and then it just got built on over and over. And some of our roads are like that, and some roads are modern. We have to, as a county engineer, you deal with a lot of variety. But I'd like to evaluate that, but I do want to give maybe our consultant a chance and maybe answer some more questions too.
It looks like there's some questions over here.
I think we have one right here. She better answer.
Have you evaluated all of the previous interim solutions and compared those plans to the plan you're proposing as the interim solution to see if this really is a better interim solution than what had been done before?
Yes, this is a question. Just so everyone can hear, the question was, have we compared our interim solutions that we're proposing today with what we compared to the interim solutions in the past? And I say yes, although the interim solutions in the past weren't really anything other than regrade and put the road back. So there wasn't really any change to the condition to make it stronger than it was on the road.
I came here in 1993 and lived right where the road
divide is. And I heard originally there was a big oak tree there that stabilized that road, and it was cut down, and ever since it was cut down, that road has been unstable. And I've tried to plant trees along that road, just like a little further down where the Horn Estate was. They planted eucalyptus trees, and that stabilized the road. And every time I try to go plant a tree, they would cut it down or destroy it. And I called, I think it was last year, about the county, about the road, why they weren't going to do a permanent solution. And I was told that they didn't want to do a permanent solution because they have it in the budget to have every year it be repaired, and it was good for the workers to have a steady job. And I was told that by the county. I don't know why they wouldn't at least let trees be there to stabilize the road, but I understand the intention of keeping workers busy, but, you know, community that pays taxes should have some.
Yeah, so I think a couple parts to it. One, there was a bit of history on the fact that there was a tree, a large tree at this location that helped stabilize the slope that had been cut down and fallen down at some point, and a request to plant new trees there that's been either denied or new trees have been cut down, and then a statement that calls to the county have been responded with that we don't want a permanent fix there because it's essentially job security. I'll talk to the trees. Trees are a great soil stabilization mechanism, and we do see regularly failure locations where trees have fallen in years prior. That's actually a really common theme, right? The tree roots themselves provide stabilization. The trees pull water out of the ground, which also helps to lighten that load on the soil. You know, I think we'll have to go back and see what some of the other conversations were had. We obviously don't agree with and don't like to hear that the last part. That's definitely not. There is enough work around the county that we don't need to not fix things in order to keep ourselves busy by any means. And any other questions about the request to plant trees or those trees coming out?
Hold it closer. Hold it closer. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Clayton Road has become a serious concern. We are now on the eve of winter, and the road continues to be ignored. With the full force of winter on the way and the road already weakening, the risk of landslide is growing by the day. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a safety issue. Clayton Road is used daily by residents and emergency vehicles. As the road keeps deteriorating, every trip becomes more dangerous. A landslide in that area wouldn't just block access, it could put lives at risk. I'm asking that the repair of Clayton Road be treated as a priority. Our community deserves safe, reliable roads, and we need action before the winter makes this.
This issue affects real people every day, such as my mom and sisters and I. We don't live in Clayton, but we have friends on this road and use this road weekly. My mom always points out that narrow lanes and bad potholes. Now, visiting your friends or coming for classes through Clayton Road is dangerous. Deferring this maintenance isn't only a safety risk, but it's also a poor fiscal decision as severe weather damage will result in far more costly repairs in the winter. After winter, the price could be in the millions. Fixing it before the weather gets worse will slow down the freeze-thaw cycle, save a lot of money, and help keep residents, schools, and even postal workers and nurses all safe. My family and I go up and down the broken road daily. It's half years since its landslide damaged Clayton Road, and it still hasn't been fixed. At one point, there was a huge crack that stretched 3 feet down. One night around 11 o'clock, my mom, my 6-year-old brother, and I were coming home late, and Mount Hamilton was closed for Crothers due to a big car accident. The other side of Clayton Road couldn't be accessed because of the brokenness. I lived right in the middle. That night, we had to walk across a dangerous precipice. Thank you for your time and making your community safer.
I think all of us would like some clarity. That is, what is the county funded to do this year and next year regarding these two different options?
So the county has identified funding to perform the interim solution that we presented today. And we are going to continue the design to 100% on the permanent retaining wall solution. And part of the strategy there is, one, get the road fixed, reopened to 2 lanes, and able to better withstand future storm events, movement. And 2, what we find when we have projects that are fully designed, we have a much better chance of securing funds. Right? So when we, any project that we essentially have shovel ready and ready to go, there are opportunities that come up, hazard mitigation grants, there's all kinds of other sources out there, but we need those kind of fully fleshed out and a real project. And so that's the commitment that we wanted to present to you tonight. That's why the website still says permanent, because we are still working on what the permanent repair is. But we also recognize that we can't wait to do something now. Let me go to a few other people first.
Is there a deadline that you guys have set to come up with that final design for the permanent solution?
The permanent solution is proceeding concurrently with our interim solution. Okay, so we're looking at finishing the permanent solution the design next year.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. And introducing this interim solution, the goal is for us to be able to get that in construction during the summer of 2026. So that is the priority right now. We have produced 65. There's different milestones that you meet in your design, right? When you get past a preliminary design, that's usually a 35% design. You start actually looking at the final details. It's basically like your first try at final plans. Right? And that's a 65% plan set. We have completed that for this permanent solution, and we are receiving comments from the county staff right now, and then that's going to continue on its path. That design can be completed next year, no problem, even in parallel, concurrent with us working on the interim solution. That's our main priority for this winter and spring, for getting that design completed, so going into construction.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
what is the budget for this interim solution? So how much of it will be?
We expect the interim work to be in the $1 to $1.5 million.
You had indicated that the permanent solution, just throwing out a lifetime, would be about 100 years, give or take.
Probably.
And you didn't say anything about the lifetime of the interim solution. And if you can't, costs only increase over the years. You don't get a $7 million quote and it stays $7 million. The value of the dollar, whatever. But I'm just curious to know what is the intended lifetime of the interim solution, and let's answer that first.
Yeah, it's a little hard to state in the same type of lifespan, right? It depends on a number of factors. We obviously recognize we're not reaching that slip plane to ultimately fix, and as Harry mentioned, withhold the earth from moving, right, with the interim solution. But we're doing things to try to, one, mitigate that from happening in the first place, right, by lessening the moisture that gets into the soil so that the soil doesn't try to move as much, and then strengthening the slope and strengthening the roadway to withstand smaller movements. So it's hard to put a lifespan in the same sense of a 100-year retaining wall. So a 100-year retaining wall could theoretically fail in 75, it could last 200. Same thing here. We think this is a.
So is there any, you can finish the design in a couple of years or by 27, and the interim solution is complete and it's functioning? Are we just going to wait until it fails before we talk about getting the permanent solution again, or?
No, so that's the purpose of completing the permanent design, completing that retaining wall design to 100%. That gives us better leverage to find those funds, perform that final work.
And will you be able to use any of the work that's done on the interim solution as part of the repair on the permanent?
Yes.
Okay.
question, a budget question that might not be able to answer, but whoever, county or whoever's responsible, I read while we were doing our research that the Federal Highway Administration has issued a policy memorandum expressing its intent and to encourage investments in repairs and improvements of existing roads before they invest in a new project. Does our county have anything, whoever handles and divvies out our tax money, how much is going to new projects before you repaired things that have been sitting for years waiting? Is there any policy or any memorandum or?
Yes, so the question is there any policy to fix existing roads or repair existing roads or maintain existing roads before we build out and construct new ones, right?
To allocate funds for
Allocate
them,
funds,
because
yeah.
obviously funding is what we don't have.
Right. Yeah, so the county roads, like Harry mentioned, is primarily funded through gas tax dollars. Okay, the majority of that goes to maintaining the roads that we have. Like almost entirely is maintaining the roads we have. Really, not very much at all is constructed to add brand new roads. New roads are generally built as a result of a development occurring that requires a developer to build out a road that may eventually become a county road, although that's much less prevalent today than it was, say, 50, 60 years ago, when a lot of this valley was being built out. Other projects that are new projects are usually sourced from funds that are specific for those new projects. So the county doesn't really use its road fund to build out new roads or new improvements. It really does go back into the existing road system.
See, then the next question would be, is anyone investing and looking into grants and other possibilities for this specific project? Because I read where the county has people, that's the fiscal part.
We have people in our department that do have to look for grants. I think that's what I was getting at. By finishing out the design, we'll be better positioned for those opportunities if there's one that is appropriate for this type of project.
About funds, is there any stance that the county has to get funds from the federal government instead of sending infinite money to certain Middle Eastern country? We need that money here.
Yeah,
I'm just asking, like, is there any push from the county?
At a policy level regarding that? Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's probably above my capabilities of answering that one.
Well, let's just say this. We applied to FEMA for the funding to repair this site. We applied for FEMA to fund all the repairs on the roads that were damaged in the 22-23 storms. Just for your information, this is not, it's a pretty well fact. We had about 30 sites that we had damaged. The average cost of each one of those repairs is probably, I didn't do the math, but it's probably around.
Sorry to interrupt you. I understand that, but what I'm asking is, like, there is money in this country, apparently, because we're spending it. And it's like, why are we not spending it?
Is money where, I'm sorry?
In this country.
Yeah.
We're not spending it on where it should.
It's a
And
big
is there
country.
anything you guys are doing to convey what most people are feeling?
But look, we get our federal and state money through really two sources, the MTC, and there is a Federal Transportation Act, the TEA Act, Transportation Authorization Act. That federal money comes through various funnels and routes, and most of that federal money is for really big projects, and then some of it gets allocated by percentage, and it goes through the VTA and it goes through the MTC, and then you can apply for funding as long as you meet certain criteria. There's rules on all of those things, and we do apply for funding. I don't know of any programs that would be available from a federal standpoint to fund the damage to a road on the hierarchy of Clayton. But if I'm wrong, glad if somebody could point that out to me. There are federal disaster funds. They're mostly pointed towards things like bridges in the Baltimore Harbor, or, you know, that's where that federal money mostly goes to, and then the rest of it comes by formula. I know our budget really well, and I know what we apply for, and I know how we're funded. Again, I still want to make my point. I appreciate what I appreciate what you said, but I'm still going to make my point. We spent reserves to repair as many roads as we could. They were about $500,000 a piece. Maybe they were $600,000. I didn't do the math. We spent about $20 million of our cash reserves to repair as many of the roads as we could. We still have a handful of roads in the county. Clayton is one of them. And we have these in other parts of the county that have much more expensive repairs. We don't have the cash to do them right now. What Chris is committing to is fixing the road this summer, progressing the design for the permanent solution to 100%, and then we're going to try our best to try to find some money to get the $7 million to build the retaining wall for the permanent solution. That's, I want to make perfectly clear, we're going to do both things, but we don't have the $7 million today to do that. We just don't. That doesn't mean we're not going to have it.
Sorry. Victoria Lemigan from Supervisor Reyes' office. I know earlier it was asked about the supervisor's commitment to helping find the funds, and she definitely has been committed on these past couple of years. We've been working really, like I mentioned earlier, she had a family emergency that she couldn't miss, but we have been working with the Roads Department since she first got elected in 2023. Made sure that today's community meeting happened in collaboration with the association, and we definitely want to make sure that we work collaboratively with Senator Cortese and Congressman Loughran to find other funding solutions as well.
There's always a possibility of what they call an earmark. And there's these things that can be worked more on the political side than on the staff side, where somebody like a congressperson actually attaches some money to a bill to fix a particular road or a sewer or a bridge in Alaska or whatever it is. Those are out there. And we rely on our elected officials for help in those areas because that's where they can really be helpful.
Okay, I just need to get this off my chest because I think a lot of us feel this way. I've been up there for 37 years on Clayton Road, but we could have used that $7 million you're talking about back then. Very little repair work done all this time. Where's our money? I pay property taxes, my taxes keep going up. Where's my county portion going? Should be helping our community on Clayton Road.
So the 18%.
Also, I'd like to piggyback on that, is that you said 2022, 2023, the storm qualified for federal funds. Where are those funds? Where, right? You said that
we did.
You qualified in 22, 23, the storms are so bad that they qualify for federal funds. Where are those funds?
FEMA just denied us.
Why?
They denied us because of the half century of deferred maintenance, correct?
Yes.
So they denied due to the long.
We have filed an appeal. They may fund the top portion of that. The fact is that road had previous problems, but it slid after a declaration of disaster, and it failed at that time. So there still is some money that we expect from FEMA for the damage that was caused by it.
It's 29 years old, I bought that, I'm 65. Yeah. Come on, the county's got more money. We want a road fixed, do it.
I think we are this summer.
You
Are you going to fix it after 42 years? That's what we want to know. 42 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Almost a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there sounds like you have we've heard it before, concept of a plan?
Is the county 100% committed to a 2-lane road? Now, I'm looking at the chart on the right, and I drove that road today, and my car is the white car. And I'm on the edge of the bank. I'm thinking that you're going to say, oh, we can't do a 2-lane road, we'll just do a 1-lane road. Further down Clayton Road,
toward Mount Hamilton, there's a one-lane road.
Yes.
What, no one's ever talked about that. Is that in the works to be fixed? Or is that we just, I'm thinking about fire emergency. How are we going to evacuate Clayton Road when you got fire trucks coming up one way and we're trying to get out? It just happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah, here's the picture.
This is a serious safety issue, that there's no sense of urgency. It's been this way for so many years.
I think that's what I also wanted to add. Many of us here are sandwiched between these two one-lane roads. So we are only a very heavy rain or a wildfire away from being trapped. So we can go left, we can go right if there is an issue of a wash away or a fire. So summer is going to be an issue, rainy season is going to be an issue. On both sides, we are trapped in one-way lanes. And I couldn't get home insurance because they were citing this as an issue for my home insurance. Right, so I don't know how we get remedy even the other issues that we face, not just.
Yes, I think, let me just make sure I understand the question. There, you in particular live in between the.
I think many of us here.
In between the full slide and then the other portion.
They recently this summer changed to a one-lane road. Like just a few months back, they put in white posts and they cut the lane in because it was falling off the hill as well on the other side of Clayton, the next mountain. So they just throw asphalt and then the next season it falls down and then now they never.
So yes, I think that that's the location where where I mentioned that some of these alternatives that we evaluated for the main slide may be appropriate to fix some of those other spots that we are experiencing the kind of sloughing off of the edge of the road.
I have actually called the county to report on the stretch that we're discussing today because the water was so bad after the rain and no one was watching, so we're getting these huge potholes with a runoff coming from the hill above. I don't see anything in the drawings here that's trying to lessen the water coming down on the road. We had people put in sandbags after I called in, and that really helped because we stopped getting huge potholes right when you're coming up off closer to the I guess, south end of that 200 feet stretch. But we didn't talk, I don't see anything in the designs to lessen the rain or pull out the moisture. That pipe is going to clog up and no one's out there watching and cleaning. I think one of the questions that was sent to the county was who is going to be surveillance in this whole situation? Is there a camera on site? Is there someone driving by weekly from the county to make sure everything's cleaned out? That has to be maintained. If we can really keep off the water from landing on that road area, we will be in a better shape for that to last for maybe the.
Maybe money is an issue. Is that right? So I understand that. Okay, with all talking we've been doing. And so that's why we have, and this one over here, and the plan, right, and you're going to find that somewhere.
I don't think that we are telling you that we're going to do that in the fall of the summer.
Okay.
What we're gonna pay for 100% design, the retaining.
So we would have to go with it. It's going to get done, but you're going to pay for the engineering and design.
Yes.
And I just, in my simple way of thinking, I just want to understand how that's going to be. Okay, I like this a lot better. I think it's really, and when you do this, are you going to?
I don't know where the water's gonna go because I haven't seen the design.
Yeah, there's on both of these drawings, there's a culvert.
It's going down.
That's true.
Well, here's Stanley.
And that's a problem. That's the whole problem.
Yeah, there's going to be, I'm not going to commit yet because you're just switching to this interim solution. But there's going to be a drainage solution that's going to tie in with it. Yeah.
With the 1.5 million.
That's correct, yeah.
And you said all these designs are public, right? We can access them once they're finalized?
100% is you can come look at our files today, and we're happy to meet with the community again. Because, look, we know, especially when we get into the hills, out in the valleys, in South County, we know that the people who live there are much more, they have much better understanding of what's going, they're not like they live in a subdivision. They have equipment, they're farmers, agriculture that they know what's going on. So we would be happy and it would be excellent for us to meet with the people who live there and have them go through the plans with us so they can say, this happens every year and you may not have accounted for this. But this community, unfortunately, the community that you live in, wasn't engineered like a subdivision. It's not a subdivision. None of you live, I don't know where you all live, but I don't think most of you live in a subdivision, meaning regular lots and a developer who did a final map and built a park and storm and sanitary. And we find that the people that live in those communities know a lot about their communities, and especially how they work. So we need that. When are you going out of country?
Should we expect to have another meeting to discuss the final plan?
Let's do one conversation at a time. Sorry, please.
Should we expect to have a follow-up meeting when the final plans are published?
Yeah. I think that way we'll have a better understanding of construction schedule, the impacts during construction as well. Get an update.
So you showed some pictures of the other one-lane portion on the Allen Rock side, on the Mount Hamilton side. I drive that side mostly. We took the other side today, the dirt road side today, just to get here. But normally I'm taking that one.
We're having a meeting.
Sorry, I got ADD. Sorry.
No, I can't.
Anyway, so when they gave that temporary fix, they basically just repaved it and put in a bunch of new asphalt on it, which you showed it is not a good solution. It kind of gets ruined every year or so. But when they did it, they also didn't paint it. There's a large section that, especially at night, is actually dangerous to drive on, and then there's like a 6-foot drop off. And I've seen, maybe it was a year or two ago, one car actually had fallen off into the trees. And people don't look, so not everybody lives up there, so they don't know the roads like we do. It's dangerous, that edge, and I can't see because if it's nighttime especially, it's the same color as the road. And
very foggy.
yeah, and it's foggy, and yeah, my lights are on, but it's still hard to see the edge right there. Is there a way, like, just, I know you guys can, maybe it's not necessarily up to you, you can just say, all right, go do it today, but you can get that done in 8 hours.
Yeah, we can.
The edge of Clayton closer to Allen Rock.
Yeah.
Has a steep drop off.
And it was patched by the county?
We patch it every year.
You don't paint it every year.
But we don't paint it.
There's not an edge, there's not a middle part, and then it goes down to a one lane, which also isn't really, they got the little, you guys see the plastic things, right?
We'll get it, those are floppy. We'll get it striped immediately. You don't need to know that our striping truck is currently a little bit out of condition.
Understood.
But that doesn't mean we can't stripe it. No, we can. That's not, we're behind on striping. We are. But that road is a priority, and I'll see to it.
Could you estimate maybe when it could be, it's been years since this was painted.
Yeah, it's a year.
Yeah, it's going to be as soon as I can.
What's average? What would you guess? I won't hold you to it. You got hard time, I get it.
Well, no, I would consider this like 48-hour time fix.
Oh, hell yeah.
No, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah.
And it's our road, and we left it that way, and we're neglecting it. We have a lot of unstriped roads right now that we chip sealed in South County, but they're straight roads, and they don't have massive drop-offs and dangerous things on either side of it.
Places to park up there.
Okay, so, yeah. I'd like to get your information, if I could, then I can tell you immediately, maybe tomorrow, when we'll have it fixed.
Sweet.
And maybe I'll copy Penny on it. Do you have the mailing list for the group?
Yes.
Or is there a mailing
Well,
list for your?
someone mailed out, did everyone here get the mail from the county invitation?
Yeah.
So, you.
So I have a mailing list. Yeah, that was the one we established when the flight first happened. We got that.
Yeah, that's the actual mailing list, not the email list, but.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'll send it out to the whole group.
I think everyone.
I think the part of the frustration of neglect of that street, even in this section that we are talking about, there were like concrete barriers on the left side. They didn't even put reflectors on. They just put them on a few days ago because we thought that was because they knew that we were going to come here and talk about it. Reflectors on. So these are like very basic minimum things that someone should be doing that are not being done. That's why the frustration is that the road feels very neglected. That, to his point, lines are not painted on the other side of the road. So that's why there's a lot of frustration that doesn't feel like that's why she asked who's going to do the road to see what basic things are not done.
I'll just say this. I want to thank everybody here because if this is frustration for this group, this isn't bad. I've been to about 100 times worse, probably when we actually had better performance. So I do thank you. I appreciate frustrations. It's clear to me I do listen, and Chris and I, everybody here really wants to do a good job. And we're going to follow up on all the things that we're hearing here. And if I appreciate that you're frustrated. I get frustrated sometimes too. But I think we have a plan that we've tried to articulate here. We appreciate that everybody came out. We're going to use the mailing list to communicate with you. We'll show you the drawings as we get further into it. Take your input. We'll see what we can do to improve the situation. The young lady has.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you're worried about water flowing into the cracks and freezing on the road.
Flowing into what?
Like going into the cracks on the road and freezing.
Yeah, that's a huge issue. Crack sealing is important on some of these roads, and I do want to thank you for your question. Longitudinal cracks, meaning cracks that are parallel, not perpendicular to the center line of the road, are indicative of the road moving, and those cracks open up. Luckily, we don't hard freeze like the East Coast, where it would really expand. Our more danger is that by water getting into the middle of the roadway, it saturates the soil, and when a truck goes over the top of it, it pumps that water into the soil, and then it creates a pothole immediately. So cracks need to be fixed. Some of our roads are moving so fast in the county that we can't fix them faster than they move, because the earth is moving in the hills, some of the hills. But your question is very good. On the East Coast, that would be a huge issue. Where it freezes, where it snows. Up in Tahoe, that would be a big issue, right? You go to Tahoe.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, any question?
I think a major question that underpins a lot of the frustration from this side of the room is, especially for the people who have been in this area for longer, this is a familiar story, right? There's a very permanent solution in development, but the money doesn't exist for it. There's a temporary solution that is going to be implemented. I guess I'm wondering, what exactly is different?
I try to thoughtfully answer your question.
Yeah, I would say in the 30 years past, there has not been an interim solution that was anything more than just put the road back.
Dumping asphalt in it.
Dumping asphalt on, regrading it and dumping asphalt back. And the county has never undertaken any efforts to actually design the permanent solution.
Do we have any evidence of any engineering on the road, even in the initial, in our files? Yeah. The geotech report. Yeah. But we never hired a civil engineering firm to design, to design it. I will also state, there's no excuse for a public works organization to dump asphalt in a failing road, but it happens a lot, all over the valley and all over the world. And the asphalt weighs probably twice as much as the soil did, and it always just accelerates the problem, but fixes it temporarily. I would just say that the difference here is that we're going to have an engineered solution. We're going to bid it out, have a contractor do it. It won't be the county road crews. It'll be a contractor. There'll be a civil engineer who's going to design and professionally seal the drawings. That civil engineer, Finley Horn, will also design the retaining wall, and we will try to get that $7-8 million project funded. It's possible, but we haven't even gotten to the full design where we can start to say, perhaps there might be a little better way of doing something, and maybe we cut $1 million out or $2 million out, because in the preliminary stages of the project, you peg the number conservatively because you always want to come in less. So I don't know where we're going to end up, but that's, I think, the difference, as best as I can say.
Just a comment about the design of this
within 10 miles and 15 on the outside up on Mount Hamilton Road, there's been 2 major slides, significantly bigger than this, significantly steeper, and they have designed a solution that seems to be beautiful, 2 different ones. Why don't, rather than design our own, why don't we take a look at what we've designed already and have available to us?
We will. I don't know what Caltrans did up there. One of them was.
They were big slides. They took
Yeah.
out the entirety of Mount Hamilton Road, went hundreds of feet down, and the distance was 3 times the distance of this. And they designed it for this area.
How far down it is to solid rock, I don't think it's that far for that slide compared to this.
Yeah, I think those are soil protocols. We are familiar with the different solutions.
Yeah, it's between here and Quincy.
Last year, sorry, when these occurred, for the damage that was easily fixable using the soil nail method, which is the term that people use, like drilling into the side, putting a cable in, grouting it, pulling it tight, shotcreting the wall. Is that what they did?
No, they put steel on it. But I think it's a whole different situation. The water wasn't under the ground.
They use
like
sheet
here.
piles, interlocking sheet piles?
Correct.
And one of them, yes.
They didn't
Okay.
clean all of the gutters and
Yeah.
everything, storm drains, they don't keep up on the top of the road, and it went across the road.
We'll look at those. I'm familiar with those types of solutions. We would rely on the geotechnical and the engineer to tell us what the best.
Yeah, and I will say, I think Chris alluded to it earlier, some of the analysis that we did identify locations around the area and what has been done. And some of those solutions maybe aren't cost saving for this location, but along Clayton Road could be very viable options that are affordable to address other issues that are happening on Clayton Road.
Oh, no, go ahead, Eric. No, go ahead.
All right, I know we have a budget issue. We talk about $7 million for the permanent fix. We're talking about today's dollar. If we keep dragging on another 5 years, do you think that $7 million still will work for this project?
No.
So if we delay longer and longer, the cost is going to cost even more.
But it's just like any other equation, like when you decide to remodel your kitchen or whatever. You only can budget for the money that you have, and you do your best.
Absolutely.
You hope that revenue increases commensurate with the cost increases, but we've got radical changes. There was a time when I constructed a very big project during a cost de-escalation in 2007. There was a massive cost de-escalation in the United States. Probably 25 to 30% of the value of the project that when we started was what happened at the end when we finished.
Then if we don't have the budget now, do you think we're going to have the budget 5 years later?
I'm not saying that we're going to use the road fund budget. I think we have to find external money for this. I'm optimistic, but I don't think that the road fund can afford this. But I'm optimistic that hopefully we can capture or cobble together some money from various sources, maybe with the help of some other forces, maybe the senator, maybe, we'll see.
Do you have to get it all at once, or is there like a bank where
When you invest and pay for all the design up front, and then you have some seed money, you're much more competitive for gaining grant funding. So let's say we do the design, the environmental clearance, we get some preliminary cost estimates and maybe cobble together 20% or 30% of the project with our own money, then we'd be much more competitive on being able to capture some other funding source.
And then once you get that, does that add to a total, and then you hit that total, and then you start construction?
Yep. You have to have it all before you can award a construction contract.
Excuse me. Even before you start the construction, you're gonna have to stabilize that area, so when you have your heavy equipment come on there, it's gonna, if you don't, then it's just gonna ruin it more.
Yep.
You have to drill pylons, soldier beams, or pile. And that's, I mean, like, I saw that 30 years ago. That's what you have to do. They should have been done a long time ago.
I agree.
We had one in the back
Oh,
for a
yes.
long
I
time.
actually have two things. To piggyback on what Parthay was saying about the frustration, a couple years back, we noticed all of these signs for bikers on our road. And one, they make the driving on the road unsafe because there's not a bike lane. And there's barely enough room for our cars to pass through. But anyway, and I wanted to know, that was part of the frustration. And then also I want to know how many of you that are here, that are running the meeting, have actually driven on Clayton Road, like at night or in fog or when it's storming outside,
All of us.
you know?
I have not driven Clayton Road in a rainstorm.
Oh, okay.
No, I have not. I have driven Clayton Road many times. I think Paul,
There's been out there when it's wet. I haven't been out there in the fall.
Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of tule fog, obviously this month. I don't know if it's that high.
I would like to request that those that are making decisions for the road, that they do that.
100%. The designer has to drive the road in all conditions, 100%. I've learned more about projects that I'm working on by looking at them in non-ideal conditions. I've learned a lot, and I agree with that 100%, and that we'll do that.
I will say, just with there's like a major storm just not that long ago, and after that, I went out there.
I took some videos of that, so I'll be showing you.
I want to know if anybody's been to the bottom to see what's going on at the bottom of that slide.
We have. Our geotechnical engineer went down there and took.
He did, and that is in the geotechnical report.
And I think our engineers were down there.
I didn't go all the way down.
We sent it. No, but we had inspectors down there. Gavin, were you down there?
I basically gone to the creek, yeah.
All the way, yeah. Gavin is our other senior engineer, so we have been down to the bottom, and we'll have to be down there some more. There's no replacing eyes on.
Speaking of the bottom side, who's responsible for all the trash that it's collecting there? I know that new plastic covers a lot of it, but we got everything over there that no one wants to deal with.
Yeah, dumping is a...
Including your cones and your road signs that
Yeah.
nobody from the county went to get.
Illegal dumping is a really serious problem all over the county.
We
And how
also
come we
have
don't have any
pickup
signs?
where There's been a leak system, I know, for like a year and a half.
So you guys, sorry, this group gets county garbage pickup, right? Yes. Yeah. I don't know, they have a new garbage contract, got a new garbage contract, and they didn't include any type of bulk. I work with that department, but I don't know many details about that. Do you, Victoria?
Reach out to our office, we'll see who from the county.
Well, but let me just say, the dumping in the right-of-way is our responsibility. Dumping has become, in the 7 years that I've been here, dumping went from probably the 10th most frequent call. It's our #1 call for service now, all over the county. Illegal dumping is happening all over the county. It's a crime, it's a criminal act. I'm not talking about a gum wrapper falling out of somebody's pickup truck. These are contractors, business people. I shouldn't say contractors because I'm not going to disparage anybody. These are people who are collecting garbage. They're getting paid for it, dumping it illegally on our roadways, and it's a disaster for us. We do our best to keep up with it. If you make a request that you've got dumping on our road by using this app and taking a picture of it, we will come out and pick it up as quickly as we can. I really urge you to use this app. It's called Mobile Citizen. I have it on my phone. It ties directly into the county's dispatch system. So literally, if you take a picture on Clayton Road and press, say, dumping, Clayton, whatever, and take a picture and press send, it will show up in our dispatch system immediately, and you will get a response that says when we solved it or how we solved it.
Does it geotag?
It geotags the picture. And if it isn't in our right of way, we don't just respond by saying that's the city of San Jose. What we do is we take your request and we forward it to our colleagues in the city of San Jose or Caltrans or the water district, whichever it may be. We do not just respond back, it's not ours. This is the best way to make a request of county roads because there's a physical record of your request, better than a phone call, because somebody's just going to write it down and then physically enter it into the dispatch system. This puts it in the dispatch system, gives it a tracking number, and you get an email back when we dispatch with the problem. I really urge you to use the app. It's on Apple and it's on Android phones. It works. It really does. Yeah.
Are there any plans to add some more speed limit signs? People are driving like it's a freeway.
It depends. We have a really good group of traffic engineers that do the speed studies and the signs. And it's the same thing. If you look at our website, you can request, a traffic engineer will contact you. They will usually meet you on site, discuss what's happening on your street, ask you what you're observing, and we'll go out, we'll do a speed study, we'll count cars, and we'll suggest a solution. If our signs are faded or knocked down, we need to know that so we can put them back up. It's a pretty good service. The traffic engineering service is really good in the county.
I have a question regarding, you mentioned earlier the handful of projects that you're finally prioritizing, and this is one of them. How certain are you that this is going to proceed next summer?
I'm 100% certain that this project that Chris talked about is going to go to construction next summer. And I'm 100% responsible for that. And that camera's on. That's like the guy who said, I didn't say I was going to show you the picture of the drug boats getting involved. I never said that. This project doesn't require any environmental permits, right?
No, it's a CEC. Yes.
Yeah, so there's no waterways, no endangered species, no tree removals. So that's why I'm more confident that I won't get hung up with any permitting. So yeah, we have a funding for this project, and we're going to do it this summer.
On the Transfer River, we have the resources, but when your crews are up there working, can't they just use their, what I was wanting to get to was the signs that we don't have. We don't have speed limit signs. We have one 20-mile-an-hour for curve. We don't have any litter signs except for on that stretch of Monastery.
We can do all that.
And we have no watch for the wildlife or deer now. I personally know of, and one of the gentlemen sitting here, that hit a mountain lion coming up out of the canyon, but 3 mountain lions that have been hit on the road, and the deer that have been killed, I don't know any bicyclists that have been killed. The sheriff had to come out and shoot one right in front of my place. The deer, people hit them, and they just keep going. So I'd rather take down those bicycle signs. We don't need 26 signs in 4 miles, which we have. 26 bicycle signs in 4 miles. And I know that you got that because the money was federal money and it was a grant, and if you improved the sides of the road, you had to put the signs every 3,000 feet. I followed those trucks and asked them what they were doing. So that's when she mentioned, this was in 2017. And yeah, you got the signs in and you cleaned up the road a little bit on the sides, and then the signs haven't been maintained because those signs are there. And the signs is a visual pollution. People are not paying attention to the 1-lane sign and the other ones that are important to see.
I will have our traffic engineering team that's not here today do a review of Clayton Road from bottom to the top. Signage will look at speed limits.
I would have really appreciated it.
I think that we need to
there
talk.
might be a horse around the corner.
We need to talk to people and they tell us what's actually
Calaveras
happening.
County has a sign that says share the road, and on the sign is a bicyclist, a pedestrian, someone walking their dog, a horse, and a tractor. Come on. That's what we have. We don't need, and share a road is for everybody, not just the bicyclists. It's an insult to me every time I have to go around a turn. It's like I saw the first sign. And I have a a driver's license, I know the rules of the road. Come on.
Your message is clear.
Okay, that's my level of frustration since 2017, and I got it out. Thank you.
What about a speed bump? Berkeley Hills, they have speed bumps, but they're not like getting the grocery store, but they're huge, right? They're big, so you have to slow down. You don't wreck your car or anything like that. I'm telling you, because every day I go to get the mail, it's taking my life in my own hands. I am not kidding. You live on a...
Is your mailbox across the street from your house? So you only get delivery on one side?
So now there's more businesses moving up there. It's not just resident contractors, service companies with their trucks.
Got it.
And hundreds of cars.
When you if you wouldn't mind, just contact our traffic engineers. We can explain what it takes in the county to get a speed bump. It's not impossible. They work a lot better in our experience on flat roads. I'll just say that. I don't know the Berkeley Hills, but I'm just saying they probably work great up there. Yeah, they might.
Some of the so if I have a location where I see that.
You can send it to me, or you can try to request it through. The app is probably better for things like, immediate kind of problems. If you want traffic engineering, it's better actually to talk to one of our traffic engineers, or Chris, or Paul, or Gavin, or Rasilia. We can get you in touch. I will say that most of the mirrors up on the county road system are put up by private property, because a mirror is not it's not an appropriate traffic control device that's authorized by the state of California. But we don't take mirrors down because we know they're put up for good reason. So we don't just go out there and say, somebody put up a mirror, we take it down. We know that the mirrors are put up for reasons, mostly for people getting out of their driveways. So we leave them alone, but we don't have any mirrors. But if you've got a traffic problem at that location, we'll come out and investigate. Our department does that. Anything else?
My wife wants to know why the weeds were
I don't know if that's your department or not.
Yeah,
It's
my
totally
department.
different, separate from what we're talking about. But yeah, they didn't cut down all the weeds along the edge, and they're
So-
always finding us for not cutting down our weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Can
guys.
you, so the
You thought you were
situation
done.
with roadside grasses is pretty dire because of the fear of fire right now. Particularly in the late parts of the summer, there's a huge amount of interest in
But the
us
county
being.
was always great about it, and all of a sudden they just quit. It seemed like it.
We've been doing a ton. I'd be surprised if a segment of road that we were doing consistently, we just stopped doing it. But if we did, I need to know where that is, because we do the same piece every year. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to use most herbicides in our county. So it all has to be done either mechanically or by hand or using mulches. We don't have any real chemical solutions that we can use like Roundup or pre-emergents. They're not allowed.
Maybe that truck was broken too.
No, that truck isn't broken. That truck is empty. I shouldn't have said that. It is, and it's old, and it's not, but we have a contractual strike. Okay?
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot, everybody.
Penny, were we gonna get a picture with everybody?
Oh, that's not a bad idea. If the neighbors would like to
Neighbors, you wanna gather
get
together,
up
get
by
a
the
picture?
sign or something, see